In May of 2006, I bought a motorcycle against my parents' wishes. In June of 2006, I discovered why it was against their wishes. Having a broken neck gave me some time to ask myself, what's important in my life? I felt like I had a second chance, and I wanted to make sure I didn't waste it. I've always been a mind geek, and being immobilized gave me the perfect excuse to look into meditation. I knew it had something to do with relaxation and concentration and maybe even happiness, but I wanted to understand, how could just sitting there accomplish any of that? So I read some instructions and tried it, and almost right away my family noticed a difference. It was harder to get under my skin, which, as you may know, is something that families can be quite good at. Armed with this bit of success, I thought I'd go deeper. So in 2008, I quit my comfortable job as a software engineer at Amazon.com and moved to a monastery for 3 months. What I learned there changed my life. I practiced a seemingly simple task. I would sit and try to be aware of only the present moment. If I got distracted by stray thoughts, I was to release them and be present again. Now it doesn't sound like that can teach you much, except for maybe how to deal with boredom, but actually I learned a lot about why I feel the way I do and why I do some of the things I do. For example, I found out that whenever I'm here but my mind is elsewhere, that causes a bit of anxiety. If I'm on vacation but my mind is on how much work I have to do when I get back, I'm thinking, oh no, that's going to suck, and I have a lousy vacation. If I'm at work and my mind is on next week's vacation, I'm thinking, I'd rather be there than here, which makes me feel impatient, in addition to not getting any work done. When I'm here but my mind isn't, it reduces my happiness. Second, even when I'm not thinking about the past or the future, sometimes my mind is commenting on the present rather than simply experiencing it. This commentary is rarely productive. If I'm running late and get stopped by a red light, I'm thinking, stupid light, hurry up and change. And believe it or not, that doesn't actually do anything. Or, man, doing laundry sucks. Ow, my tooth hurts. Even with something nice like eating cheesecake, I'll find my mind babbling about how good it is, rather than simply soaking in the experience. Experiencing the present moment feels better than mindlessly commenting on it, and only after spending lots of time practicing presence of mind did I appreciate the depth of my own absent-mindedness and the incredible sense of freedom that presence can bring. Even for pain, calmly experiencing it without entertaining thoughts about how much it sucks is a powerful strategy to reduce the harm it causes. Distraction is another strategy that works up to a point, but if you haven't learned to make peace with the pain, you're in for a world of hurt when you inevitably have to face it. To put it another way, when we're experiencing a positive situation, being present enhances it. When we're in the midst of a negative one, present-minded awareness takes away the sting and helps us respond clearly instead of reacting automatically. Mental chatter rarely helps. I had been told this before, but experiencing it so clearly really changed how I relate to the world. Modern psychology and neuroscience are starting to discover these ideas. We often don't know when our minds are wandering or commenting, and what we don't know can and does hurt our happiness. If you think your mind doesn't do much wandering or mindless commenting, it's possible that you simply haven't been looking carefully enough. In the next 24 hours, check yourself periodically to see if you're being completely present. If you're feeling a bit unhappy or anxious, that's an especially good time to see if you're needlessly dwelling on something. If you can even remember to check yourself 10 times, that's progress. With practice, you can make that 10 times an hour, 10 times a minute, or maybe even 10 times a second. When it's done with enough skill, you can monitor your experience continuously without it being intrusive. You can learn to instinctively identify which situations or emotions pull you out of present-mindedness and into distraction and anxiety. For me, it feels something like an emotional immune system, identifying potential threats and diffusing them before they can become problems. From this perspective, the world looks much less threatening and more rife with possibility than it did before. For me, this perspective also had a surprising side effect. I became less of a jerk. I'll illustrate with an example. Say I'm hungry and thus feeling irritable. Normally, it feels like the most natural thing in the world to snap at other people. With more mindfulness, it became easier to identify with my true self, the part that knows to always be kind, and quarantine the irritable part, which I know is just a temporary nuisance and not really me. Witnessing exactly how my own anxieties were what caused me to treat other people less than perfectly was a real eye-opener for me. I saw how my thoughts and emotions weren't as solid as I had previously assumed, and as my own insecurities lost their grip on me, it became natural to be kind in more challenging circumstances. It also occurred to me that other people's minds might be like mine, too, subject to anxieties and insecurities. So feeling vengeful or bitter or malicious toward other people started to feel less natural and more starkly counterproductive. I think we all have an instinctive desire and capacity to do good, and it gave me a lot of hope to see that this nature can be uncovered by such a simple practice. As we watch our minds more carefully, the ability to harm ourselves and others slowly melts away, and I think there can hardly be greater cause for hope. I haven't kept all of the skills I learned, but tasting that potential inspires me to share. Not everyone has the time or desire to ship off to a monastery, but many of these effects can be felt with just minutes a day of practice. If you've ever been curious about your own mind's potential, I strongly recommend learning more. If meditation is still too ambitious a goal, just practice seeing how present-minded you are at various points during the day. If you are ready to give meditation a try, check out some of the links below.